YouTube, we are back. The third major is in the books, and Seattle Surge are the champions. But before we get into what we're going to be talking about today, Pat, we did surpass the sub goal for you to finally take off that hat, show everybody and their moms what you're working with.
Same
You got a
thing,
haircut.
bro. The same thing I've always been working with.
You got a
Everyone-
haircut. I don't want to hear it.
Very familiar.
Turn to the side real quick. Good Lord, that fade is hideous, bro. Put the hat back on.
It's the same thing I've always gotten. So,
Yeah, yo, Chad.
listen, Ian, hey, now you turn into me because now you ain't have a cut in 6 months. So you starting to look a little sloppy over there, wearing a hat every episode.
Wait, hold on.
So.
Where's your
Careful.
reveal? Where's your reveal, Ian? Take that shit
Oh
off.
yeah, Ian, take that hat off.
I'm getting it braided. When I get it braided, I'll reveal for free.
Yo, everyone watching, remember, we're still working on the sub goal for Ian.
No, it was a one and done. It was a one and done.
Nah, we're extending it partially, not officially, for you to not only take the hat off, but also wear the red super suit. So it's doing a little bit of both.
I'm your mom's favorite superhero. But anyways, back to the more important thing. I'm gonna start it off because they were my dark horse team to win it all. Seattle Surge come in. They look great all event long. Honestly, Sib and Pred, they were number 1 KD in both flex and sub role in the qualifiers. And I think they transitioned perfectly because they were the two best players at the event, in my opinion, the whole major. But I want your guys' thoughts on how you think they performed and also how you feel about it now, Pat.
Yeah, I mean, look, they perform well, but I mean, we had talked about the Seattle team for a long time, and you know, the problem that they've had is they're just not a consistent team, right? Like thus far, this season's been going on 8 months now, or sorry, 6 months if we count when the start of the year was.
Mhm.
But Sib and Pred were just never playing together, performing to the level that they did this weekend. And I mean, we've talked about it, right? I've even said it before. Like when those two guys are on and they fry, they have the capability to beat anybody. But I just never saw them frying together because it just really wasn't ever happening. To me, the big standout though, I think, was how Mack played. I think he played phenomenal all weekend long. Like even when we don't look at stats, like some of the plays he made were like massive game-changing plays. The thing I hate though about this major is I feel like we didn't get to see enough of the Surge. You know, when we look at like their road to victory, right? They played New York, Florida, FaZe, and arguably in the winter finals, like they got really lucky in that one. I think that was FaZe's series to lose, and they choked 2 maps, like massive maps that they should have easily won. Other than that, though, I mean, I expected them to roll through Florida. The NYSL one again was kind of a Seattle clutch up for me. So, I mean, we'll take this event win. I think, you know, congrats to Seattle. They obviously won the event, but I'm still not as high on them as I think you guys are. And I think, honestly, this is just going to be a blip on the radar as the season progresses.
See, I'm different to you, Pat. I don't think this is gonna be a blip on the radar. I don't think they might sit there and win everything after, but I think these guys are definitely here to stay when it comes to our best teams that we have joining up alongside Optic, you know, FaZe and that nature. Like they just have the talent to do. They just have the talent. Like and it doesn't matter what way you want to spin it. They've improved massively, just like the Toronto Ultra. Like you kind of like were always like high on them, which I'm high on them too. Don't get me wrong. We'll talk about them in a bit, but they were among the same teams that just need to get better at certain things, need to get way more consistent. And I think you're starting to see that. Do I think that Sib and Pred are going to consistently be, you know, a 1 point or a 1.2, 1.1, whatever? Maybe not. We don't know for sure. They're rookies, but could we have said the same thing about Celium a couple years ago? Yeah. When he first started and he started getting hot, do you really think that Celium was going to be a consistent 1.1, 1.2? Is he? Yeah, he is now.
Question. If they go to Major 4 and get top 8, are you going to be surprised?
No.
And because you said that,
but
that's why I feel the way I do about them.
But that's because of the game. It's not because of them. Like we've seen teams like going up and down all season.
But so who would you be surprised by getting top 8? FaZe? Yeah. See,
yeah, well, they're an anomaly.
But that's why I think it's like a blip on the radar when we're talking about like, yeah, they won the event, and it's like, so did LAG last event, and they got 12th here and been shit. Like, I'm not surprised. don't get me wrong. I'm not saying Seattle's on the level of LAG, but just to the just speaking of them as a team, I don't think they have the consistency to replicate this ever again. I think this was just like a one event all-star win for them where they all played phenomenal and they got a dub. And it was, I mean, it wasn't a dominant dub by any means. It was like they scraped out a win against NYSL and then scraped out 2 wins against FaZe. So I don't know. I mean, obviously credit to them, they won.
Yeah.
But I'm just not high on it, and
This
it
could
honestly
be
comes down to Sib and Pred.
It could be the confidence booster that they needed, though. We all know when you got your first win, they've been talented. Sib and Pred the whole year, people have been
We knew it. We knew they had
high
it.
on them. Yeah, like this isn't the first time that they've had a series where they drop 1.2, 1.3. Like they've been doing it, but inconsistency has been an issue. But I feel like once you get that first win, that first major win under your belt, you start moving a little differently. You have a little bit more confidence in yourself, your teammates, and all that. And I don't know. Would I be surprised or not surprised? Do I think Seattle is going to come in and win the next event? No, but I think that they can be a top 4 team for sure. I mean, they're definitely a top 4 team right now, but I could see them consistently ending out the year Major 4 and champs like top 4, top 3 range. Bro, they beat the team who's been in every single major finals. I know they're not.
Everybody has though. Everybody has.
But they beat them twice. Okay, they beat them twice. One where it was definitely maybe a little bit of luck on their side, and then one where they just did it. And that same FaZe team beat Toronto twice, which is another top team in the game. And I mean, they also beat NYSL, which is a top 4 team in the game. They beat Florida, who. Florida is not as good as the rest of them.
They looked horrible, by the way, in that series. That Florida team, I think Dave had like a 0.5 or a 0.4.
Yeah, they couldn't match the pace.
Well, that's the same thing.
Similar.
But that Florida team beat Optic, which was also looking really good. So
Vanguard crazy, Ian. Vanguard is crazy.
Vanguard is indeed crazy, but the one thing I want to say, my bad if I cut you off, Ian, it's just I just want to say Seattle is a young team. I know we all have our, we've all seen Accuracy have mixed success throughout the years, but the one thing that Lamar's always been good at is just nurturing young talent. And I think that's kind of what he got with this team. And it shows. I'm not saying that these guys necessarily are going to come out and win everything, but I think this is the start of a good future for these 3 young players in Mack, Sib, and Pred, because they're just very talented. They remind me of how when Celium, Abizi, and Sib came onto this, or Sib came onto the scene. That's the type of caliber player I see in all 3 of them. Mack was gross in Modern Warfare and in Cold War at points in times, but Sib I played against and with Sib before in Challengers. I always knew that kid was talented, and Preds obviously came out and showed it this year. I think they do have the potential to just be lasting stars in the scene. I'm not going to say they're going to ever be dominant, but I think I'm not surprised by seeing the Seattle team start to have this consistency. Will I be surprised if they go top 8? No, but that's just because of the game. And I think the only reason why I wouldn't say FaZe, I'm not surprised by FaZe, is because FaZe has been around for so fucking long and dominant for so long that seeing them go top 8 would be super surprising. While a younger team like Seattle, I wouldn't be surprised yet. But I mean, I think these guys got a bright future. I don't consider them a blip at all, but only time will tell, in my opinion. Anyways.
Well,
so
let me just ask this: when we look at the scope of the league,
he can.
When we look at the scope of the league, right? When we compare Major 1, Major 2, Major 3, I guess you can throw in the Pro Am if you're an NYSL fan. When you look at Seattle so far this season, it was average, really bad, win, right?
No,
to me, when you look at their
really
graph,
bad win. They got
good
12th.
the entire qualifier.
No, I'm talking about the major events on land. The major events, Seattle, if you plotted their placings on every major, right? Major 1, Major 2, the Pro Am, and Major 3, it's literally just a straight flat line at the bottom, a dip in the Pro Am, and then there's just a shot to fame at Major 3. I don't think that's sustainable, and I think they're gonna fall back to that level.
The only difference though is that they played really good the entire qualifier, as opposed to the LA Gorillas, when they obviously just they were terrible at the qualifier, then went to the event, got a sub, and then won. So I can't even compare that because they were good the entire qualifier.
Seattle started out the year where people had them as a top 4 team. They were ahead of a lot of teams early on. You are right. They did go through a slump, but I mean Toronto did too, and maybe they're heating up.
Toronto
at
at
the right
least
time.
got fourth.
I mean,
They won all like every S&D.
yeah. I mean, come on. LAG
like
won
clutched up.
they won an event. You know, with Cinderella story, it happens. Boston Breach got top 4 at what, both majors or.
But again, that was an easy bracket, and they played Florida. That was another team that got to play Florida.
Look, Seattle beat FaZe twice, not once but twice. Okay.
Yeah, but the first one I really don't count. I count the finals. I don't count that first one. That was some. We all agree, but that was
okay.
We're gonna
There
agree
was
to
there was a
disagree here.
Thanos
There's no
snap
dancing
somewhere
Pat.
in the universe for them to win
Pat-
that winter finals.
Pat will die on this hill forever, no matter what.
Hey, we'll see, man. We'll see at the end of the year. Like if they fall off a cliff, and by fall off a cliff, I mean going from first to like 5 through 8 range. That's kind of what I don't think they're ever going to be bottom 4.
So
we kind of know who our bottom 4 teams are.
So, okay, wait. Well, with what you just said, that'll help segue into the next topic. So, do you think Optic fell off a cliff after their major 1 win?
Nah, because they've made top 6. They went from first,
you said
6th
5th through 8th. Chris,
What did they?
I
What
heard
did they
it.
get? They get 6th
They
at
got
the
6 back-to-back.
pro-am. The pro-am though.
666.
But the problem with Optic is they dominated every qualifier. Regardless of their placing, they dominated every qualifier. And that's actually something I want to talk about. We don't have it on our list, but I wanted to talk about it with you guys. There was a Reddit post made about Shotzzy comparing his online to his LAN like statistics. And bro, they're actually kind of drastically different.
Wait, really?
He has like a 1.15 online in all the qualifiers, and on LAN it's like a 1.01. Like, it's a pretty drastic fall off.
Yeah,
and it's not like,
difference.
and we're not saying Shotzzy's bad. Like, there's no argument in the universe for that to be made. But that fall off is drastic because, like, when we see him in the online qualifier matches, like, he's actually frying. And someone else that's kind of similar, at least in the past, was Kyler. And I made that comparison before where it's like, there are certain players in Call of Duty who, irregardless of connection, just play better online because of the pace of the game. I feel like it plays much faster than it does on LAN, and you can get away with a lot more. And I feel like Shotzzy is a player who benefits from that style. And to me, we talk about how, Optic kind of lives and dies by Shotzzy's performances. Like, to see that fall off is pretty huge. And when we talked about Major 1, it wasn't the Shotzzy show. It was the Dashy and Illy show.
Yeah, I mean, no, you could be right. Like, both those things could be right. What you said is, because I personally still think Shotzzy's one of the best players in the game, and
I think he's the most efficient.
Yeah, and you guys probably agree. But he could also be better online, and that's not being negative towards him at all, or saying that he's trash on LAN. Like, it is possible. It's funny that you say that though too, because when they played Florida, I was doing like a watch party, and it looked like he was doing too much, like plays that he would normally make. So it's not anything out of the ordinary, but to what you said, Pat, where like the game can be slower, where he was kind of getting caught. Like, he was getting caught with his pants down a lot more in that series. And I know Florida, they play them well every time they match up.
That was the problem.
But
so wait, hold on. Who did Optic lose to this tournament? It was Florida, and who else?
Seattle, or not Seattle, or LAT.
Oh yeah.
Florida,
Yeah.
But like
that's another team who benefits from a slow pace, I think.
But like, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know if I want to say. It's hard. It's not going to sound right no matter what. We're like, I know we're not cooking Shotzzy, but you are right in the sense that the gameplay does slow down on LAN. There's more on the line. It has nothing to do with connection or any of that nowadays.
Nope. I also think though that like a reason why Shotzi's definitely still really good, and I still think he's probably the most efficient player. We talked about his efficiency, and you even see it in their matches. Even when he was playing, he had his maps where he played really well. But I think that Optic's not doing themselves any favors with the fact that they've had these issues with like Illy and like their inconsistencies with like bringing in General at an event, having Prolute. Like, I'm still high on Prolute. I think he's a good player, but I think like obviously Optic is definitely missing Illy. And they've just obviously just been going through, they had to be going through some sort of mental struggle with just being like having to deal with like different substitutes and the, not knowing when their teammates going to come out. They were definitely, no, but they were playing good. I'm not saying that they couldn't do it without these guys. I'm saying that like, I'll give the guys a benefit of the doubt. and I'm not too pressed by their inconsistencies right now because, bro, their fourths have been inconsistent like for the last like 4 tournaments, right? So I'm not worried if I'm Optic.
It is a little different,
I think
though. It is a little different. I know you didn't say this, Chris, but a lot of the Optic fans still, like, when they lost to both teams, Florida, LAT, and they were like, you beat Optic with a sub. It's like, this isn't the same situation as LAG with Spark.
No.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
no.
they played a whole qualifier with Prolute.
And fried.
Yeah, practice with Prolute, went to the majors. So it's like, yes, he is technically a substitute player, but like, this was their team. Like, it wasn't like, oh, this was the last minute thing, like with General or whatever the case may be.
Yeah,
like,
that's true.
This is their current team until Illy comes back.
I would also argue, Ian, that outside of that first series against Florida, Prolute was playing really fucking good for them.
Yeah,
all tournament long in the
played
loser
pretty
bracket.
well.
Like in the LAT series, Seth is the one that got like really shit on. It was kind of like he had the series that Prolute had against Florida. Yeah. It was like a 0.6.
Which
like
happens. I mean, because Seth played great in a lot.
The entire tournament.
Yeah, in a lot
especially
of their series. S&D, he was clutching everything. I was losing full. But like, I don't know. I don't know what Optic does from here on out, because they haven't officially said if Illy's coming back, right? I know we have a couple of weeks of a break, but there hasn't been any announcement on that. I don't know if you guys know. I don't.
I mean, I saw him at the venue and he was talking. I think there was like a clip on Twitter where he was talking about like how he's good, or at least about to be good and able to play soon.
Okay, so he should be back for the qualifiers.
Hopefully.
Yeah, I mean that's another 3 weeks away. So like, when you think like that's another 3 weeks of nothing going on before the qualifiers start, yeah, I think he should be back. But to me though, and this is something that we talked about before when it was a convo of comparing Optic versus FaZe, it was the fact that FaZe cannot beat Optic in control. And that was also true for almost every team in the game. They had like that
Optic's
crazy control record of like, but they lost both. In both their series they lost this weekend, they lost both controls. And that's something we've never seen. They were I think they were undefeated on LAN in control, and they had only lost like 2 or maybe 3 in all the major qualifiers so far. So to come into an event and lose every control lose the control in both series that you lost, to me that's concerning, because
was it Berlin both times?
I think it was a Berlin and a Tuscan.
Did they lose a Tuscan?
I think that first one they lost to Florida was Tuscan. I thought. I could be wrong, but I thought that's the one that Florida beat them on. Keep going. I was just. But anyway, yeah, my point was that when we're talking about Optic moving forward, right, even getting Illy back, I think that starts to be a concern, because, bro, the one thing that set Optic apart from every other team in the league this year is control. They had a record that was like, we hadn't seen a team have a record like that in a certain game mode in a long time, bro. Like, to go 20-something and 2 in a game mode, like, especially a swing mode.
That's one-sided as fuck.
That's bro. When we had it in ticks and when we had it in kills, deciding round 5, that was a big benefit for them as a team. And I think if they start to struggle in control, dude, they could start to slide.
Yeah, you bring up a good point. Like, I'm not saying that's not possible that they get back to that sort of dominance, but you gotta think with control being one of those modes that is I feel like it's one side as hell of the defense, besides like Berlin, which is like almost like offensive. So I think
Berlin's
so
on
LAN or online, we saw like Berlin kind of still be a little 50-50, right? But like offense was winning 50-50. Bro, I think on LAN we saw overwhelming majority offensive wins. I think this tournament. I don't know if I mean, I don't have a stat for it.
Not about majority, but way more than usual.
Bro, every match I watched, I was like, oh, offensive win on Berlin control. Not surprised. Like, there was like 1 or 2 a fucking series, like on that Berlin control. I feel like every time. But anyways, I think if they don't like revert to that sort of like dominance on those game modes, that does worry me for them, because that was what like kept them dominant. I think they're going to start having a lot close. I feel like that's what kept them dominant. That's what like when they were dominating. But I still think without that, they might still be like, they'll still be good, but that still worries me for them in terms of the people that I want to see them like be that dominant team. Everyone's high on them at some point. Best team in the game, blah blah
Well,
blah.
Let's talk about that real quick because we can finally put that argument to rest. Optic is not the best team in the
Yeah,
game.
it's Seattle.
It's FaZe. FaZe has been to every single grand finals. They're the most consistent team in the game. They're number one in the standings. They're the only team that you can say, would you be surprised if they had a placing outside of top 2? They are dominant. They haven't got a win yet, but they are dominant.
They're just like the Buffalo Bills in the early 90s.
Bro, to me, it doesn't matter like if you get the win at the end of the day. We all know in Call of Duty, the only tournament that matters is COD champs. That's just how every year goes for every pro player.
Especially when it's at the end of the year, for sure.
Yeah, and when we're talking about a team that has just stayed at 1-2, 1-2, 1-2 all year long, best team in the game is not a question. Optic would have to win Major 4 and dominate the qualifier to even be back in that conversation. Yeah. So,
I mean,
I'm not with that argument.
Who do you think's the best team in the game, Chris? And if you say Seattle, you're like a Reddit person, a Reddit NPC who has a 48-hour memory.
That's my gimmick. So I do. So like, dude, we've had 5 different winners, 5,
that's
and
Vanguard.
The reason that's Vanguard, and that's why I go with the Vanguard answer. I'm done predicting this game. Until the next tournament,
we got the stats. We have the stats, Chris.
So that's why I said, right. I was actually having an argument with my watch party earlier today, where I was like, the only tangible thing that you can have that is you cannot disagree with because it's actual tangible evidence is placements and W's.
Yes,
and that's why I said FaZe is the most consistent team in Vanguard. But when it comes to being the best team, it has to go to the team that wins at the time until the next qualifier split and then it resets.
But it's Call of Duty. Why do we care about what happened yesterday? At the end of the day, when you say who's the best team in the CDL right now, you look at the scope of the whole year. You look at points, placements, qualifier, and LAN, and it's Atlanta FaZe. There's no other argument that can be made.
Because then by that argument, you said that the only thing that matters is champs. So if you
the season's over, yes.
If you, let's say hypothetically you place last at every tournament and win champs, are you the best team in that game?
Yes. No, you win that year.
Opposite. It's the opposite. The way you guys got to look at it is say FaZe gets second at Major 4 and second at champs, right? And
well, you're saying second everything.
Yeah. So single major.
That's dominant. First off, that's just dominant.
So they get second at these last 2 events, right? And say, I'm trying to think who hasn't. We'll say Toronto wins champs because we're not counting the kickoff.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Whatever it was, the kickoff classic. And I don't know. We'll just say for my bias, LAT wins stage 4, right? So if we have 5 different winners and FaZe got second at every single event, if you were to ask, not even us, I think if you were to ask any player, coach that is in the league right now, who was the best team throughout the entirety of Vanguard, it would be FaZe. They would say FaZe. Yeah, they didn't win.
That's why the argument's terrible. And I hate arguing about the best team at something because the way I look at it is, yes, there's the most consistent team that had the best placings, but maybe wasn't the best at any point in time. Because let's say, well, who's the best team in stage 1? The team that won it. Who's the best team in stage 2? The team that won that one. The team.
No. I'm not. No. There's no way, Chris, that for 6 weeks you thought LAG was the best team.
No. But that's not what I'm saying. That's not what I'm saying. Because the way that champions should be looked at, and even the world championship should looked at, and the reason why I always consider the team that won champs the best team is because that is the culmination of your entire work that you put in during an entire season. Just like your culmination of a split of a season of a what is it called? A qualifier of a split of the year, just like stage 1, stage 2, whatever, is that major. So it doesn't matter how you perform up until then. It just means that it like your work, your culmination of it gets you the win. I'm not saying obviously there's more that goes into it.
So if Boston Breach won COD champs, Chris, you're saying without any doubt, Boston Breach was the best Vanguard team all year.
Not all year. I'm
saying
they were
though. That's what we're saying.
No, because I'm saying the scope of things, the way you look at things has to change. You shouldn't look at it as the best overall team in the game. Like you should look at it as the most consistent team in the game. Who's the most consistent team? FaZe. But who was the best team in the game should be the team that culminated all of their work, all of their effort into the most important time of the year.
Ian, I'm gonna. This
you
is
just
a
look
botched,
at it differently. It's that's
this is a botched explanation.
But that's the reason why I hate the argument, Pat. It's because it's
Well,
a dumb
no,
argument.
no. You wonder why? Before you go, Pat, you wonder what the issue is though. Currently, like where we're at, it's just because FaZe is now 3 for 3 at being in the finals, getting second. But we also have 3 different winners. Like if Optic wins or Seattle comes and wins again, then it makes it easier.
Yeah,
but
100%.
But like right now, we literally have Optic who won an event, then got 6-6. You have LAG who I don't even know what they got to dead last first.
Yeah.
And then you have Seattle, which they got what dead last once.
Yeah.
Top 6.
6 or 8. It was one of the two.
You see what I'm saying? So that's what makes it so hard
that's
right
why
now.
it makes it difficult. But the reason why I use this argument is because I will use your team, Pat, as an example. EG in World War II, you might not have been the best team overall in the season in terms of your consistency factor.
Hold on. There was a big difference though. Roster changes. We weren't the same team the first half that we were the second half, and that doesn't really happen in this game.
But regardless, the reason why I will claim your team is the best team in the game is because all of your effort, all of the time you put in, all of the practice you put in, regardless if there was majors or stuff like that, culminated to your victory. All that effort culminated into you winning the championship.
Yo, Ian is hot.
Yes, here's the thing. Yes, there were other teams that were more consistent than you, and they were great teams. But we've all said this before. The only thing that matters is the world championship. It's the same. Obviously, we're not considering. Fucking
no, I disagree.
Nope. I disagree. Hold on, real quick. Let me go. So, okay, I see both your points, but at the problem with Chris with your argument is like, if you were to ask me, was I the best team for the entirety of World War II? Absolutely not. Like, we started out super slow. Ian, you're on the team. Mm-hmm. We made a roster change in like April or May. We got second. Then we went into a massive slump and sucked for a month and a half. And then we came back and we fried at champs. But Ian, you'll get this explanation. So in the stock market, right? You know how options work. There's intrinsic value in an option. Like FaZe still has a ton of intrinsic value. Like there's still time before we get to champs to where like we can say they are the best team in the game. To me, they have the highest premium out of all the teams.
Yeah.
Because there's still time left. We're mid-season right now, predicting, I guess, for the totality of the game, there's still a lot left. They have a great track record of being second. They probably will get second again at Major 4. Probably somewhere top 3 at champs. They still have a lot
higher than everybody else's.
Huh?
That's the way you look at it, right? Their probability of them placing higher.
Yeah, like they're going to hit that mark.
Right, yeah. But the thing is, like a team like Seattle, a team like LAG, I won't use Optic because they're a little bit of an anomaly, but like they just had these peaks, right? They just had like a massive run up, and it wouldn't surprise me if they come crashing back to like a middle ground level to where they're actually at. Like they're median.
Yeah, that's why
you're in a bubble.
That's why your definition of best team in the game is my definition of most consistent team.
Well, so
my definition of best team in the game is the one that wins.
I'm about to get a double kill on both of y'all. Look, I've been waiting. I've been cocking the gun. Look, first off, this is where you're wrong, Chris.
Let's hear it.
Is if Octane could have held a damn L trigger, they weren't even the best team at champs. Pat would have been out in pool play.
Octane, I didn't play Octane.
Yeah, you did.
Yes, you did. In pool, they had to win one map. Hold it.
Oh yeah, wow.
I would have been holding up a ring. But
we were something serious.
The second thing is though, is I like, and I guess we can agree to disagree with both of you guys because I know Pat, you said this too, bro. No matter what, and I know I don't have a ring. I'd never won a COD champs. Got close a bunch, but if there's 5 events all year long, and I'm taking the bias out of me not ever winning one. I would much rather win all 4 majors and lose champs in the sense of if we're talking about the best team. Like if FaZe won all 4 majors and lost champs and then
I think they would still have the most prize money earned.
Well, yeah, they probably would. But like if you two would say So if FaZe won every event, or any team, if Optic won all 4 majors, and then they bombed out at COD champs, dude, it doesn't even matter. They didn't even make top 8, and Paris Legion won. You're gonna say Paris Legion was the best team. That's my argument. Is like, that's why you have to look at consistency.
It's just hard
They
when
weren't
you
the
go
best
to
team in the game. No, they were
it's
just
hard
the
when
best
you
team
go-
that weekend.
It's hard when you go to extremes like that to even.
And
like,
to be
argue
honest,
it.
and I
We
think
gotta
the
reel
best
it
way to
back
do
in.
it.
Our
Yeah, no, we're
producer.
gonna reel it back in. But I think the best way to put it is like champs is like it equals 3 event wins. Like that's kind of how you gotta think about it. Like it just equals multiple event wins. It's not just
Okay.
one event in itself because of the importance around the event and how much everyone puts into that one event. But anyway, got off on a little tangent right there. Sorry
Pat
about
got
that.
lucky. World War II. Keep going.
I got second at the Seattle event, 12th, and then first. That ain't luck.
Right.
But listen,
So
we need to hit 144 subs. That's our sub goal. That's our call to action for this episode.
144K.
Or sorry, 144K. What did I say?
We're at 130. We're at 137K right now. We gotta make
Yeah,
this.
that's what-
We gotta make
144,
a
that's what I said.
huge, ginormous dent, and then Pat will start sucking meat like live on the show.
I don't know what the fuck
yo.
Chris talking about, but listen, we want to put a big dent in our subs. We're at 137. You guys have been phenomenal all year long for the reverse sweep. We're aiming for 144K. We know we can do it. I guess most of you didn't want to see Ian in the red super suit, and hey, don't get me wrong,
Lord.
I didn't really want to see it either, but we really want to hit this guy. So you guys have been awesome watching every weekend, always interacting in the comments and smashing the like button. So continue to do that, but also subscribe. You'll be able to see all the content that Deserto is pumping out, and you'll never miss a reverse sweep episode, which is the most important thing. But let's reel it back a little bit, because I want to talk about what we're gonna do with what Prolute does, right? We talked about Illy coming back, but we didn't really talk about what happens to Prolute. And Ian, I think you were in the call the other day when we had like really briefly talked about this.
Mhm.
I think Prolute would be a great fit on Florida. Like if he replaces
A couple
Dave
teams.
Patty,
A couple teams.
but specifically because, bro, we know how good Florida can be. I think he fills 2 roles for them, right? Like Prolute is not I wouldn't say he's an in-game leader, but he's very knowledgeable and his comms are great. And when we talk about something that Dave Patty has, Chris, I know you love to say this all the time, intangibles with his leadership and his comms in game. I think Prolute could help there, but he could also really help with the pace of Florida and their Surge, honestly, all across the board. When I was looking at all the teams, potential contenders, stuff like that, I think Florida is the best fit for him, and I think he's the best fit for Florida for the role that they need. So I'd like to get your guys' thoughts on that.
Yeah, I was in agreement with you. I think when we were talking in the call before, I was like, I think he'd be good on Florida. I could see a couple teams being good on Florida, but I think that's probably his best bet. I don't think he would. I don't know what LAG would do. I don't think he'd fit good on LAG. I don't know. They got a slew of issues.
Yeah, they got way too much going.
They need
wrong
some.
for them.
They need some superstars. I don't think Florida needs some superstars. I don't think Prolute is a superstar player, but that's not necessarily a bad thing. That's not what they need. I honestly think that's right on the money. I think Prolute should look into potentially joining with that team. I know we were high on them picking up an SMG player, like their substitute, but after what I saw with Awakening. And we've all known Vivid to be a pretty good player too, using the submachine gun role. I don't know if they need a submachine gun. I just think they need a second.
Have one too.
They just need somebody who can do put a little pep in their step. That's it.
Put a little pep in their step, because the anomaly is it's pretty apparent. And not only that, even when he's playing, even when he'll still have those maps where he'll just throw up the bullshit, where it's not even like the stats are like low. It's like he's just not getting kills.
He didn't shoot nobody, Chris.
His damage is so low, dude. Like it's alarmingly low. And I hate to say it, but yeah.
We talked about efficiency. He's the most inefficient player in the CDL.
100%. So there was a stat. I think he had was it the lowest damage, like next to like SMG players or something like that?
He's the only AR in the bottom 10 of damage per 10 minutes in hardpoint. The only AR player. Sorry. Everyone else was submachine gun players, and it was submachine gun players that honestly are on the border of like exactly, like playing a lot
like
slower.
Envoy's down there, and Envoy literally just flanks the entire time. So that, and I know Dave Patty is not flanking. Like he's just posted. Like he needs to get involved. Being an AR player, you are a damage dealer. because there's not a single line of sight where you can't put a bullet into somebody.
And when you're in the fight, bro, you're getting information, right? We talk about how he has good comms, but like if you're in the fight more, you're seeing players cross on your screen or go into a certain lane. You're able to calm that. And it's like when you're just in the back and directing your 3 teammates, you're losing out on all the potential comms you could have of calling out where players are, like enemy players. So I think it's like a double whammy of how his playstyle is hurting them in respawns.
Yeah. I mean, we could actually do like a 2 birds, 1 stone, because I think Prolute would be great on Florida. He's obviously is not going to be on the starting roster, assuming Illy is healthy, good to go. I think he'd be great for Dave. And dude, at this point, we've said it for months now. I don't know if the team wants him to play like this or what. I'm kind of thinking that maybe it is because there's no
they're sabotaging.
Well, I mean, but there's no shot in hell that that they would be okay with like these performances because
after this weekend there's no way.
He's just not impactful. Like he's just not, and he's got an immense amount of talent. Like you said, the intangibles and everything like that, but he isn't doing anything on the map.
My prime example is look at Insight. Insight was a mailbox type player in Cold War, same as Dave Patty. It worked in that game. It was a slower paced game. You benefit from stuff like that.
Here's the thing, though.
This game, it is not like that. You saw even Insight. Insight was going crazy this tournament. He was getting involved, like being aggressive. That is what you need to do in this game.
But I don't think it's even necessarily that. Because let's not act like Big Pat is the only slow main AR in the league. But it's the combo of him being super slow, and you're talking about his intangibles, his leadership, all this stuff. I know he's got good gunning. I've seen it. His positioning. You could play slow if you are in good spots to help impact the game in your team's favor. He's just not. Like, he's just like in no man's land.
Octane plays slow in that regard.
Exactly.
Like he's got good positioning.
Jay Patty is like Steve Kerr on the Bulls, just in the corner, just doing nothing. Like Michael Jordan's not passing the ball to him. Ain't no one gravitating towards Dave Patty. They're just letting him do his thing.
That's disrespectful to Steve Kerr, bro.
Nah, I mean, come on. Yeah, Michael Jordan. But anyways, so yeah, I think Florida would be a great spot for Prolute. I do think that Optic is one of the teams with Hex. And that'll go into the next topic on roster changes.
Let them go for free.
That either for free or they won't try and rob
or just recap the salary that they paid him, right? Like that most. Like they're not going to be greedy about it.
Before, and I think he should get a shot because there's a lot of teams.
I think he proved it.
Yeah, there was a lot of teams that we said that needed to make team changes. We could talk about that in a second. Prolute showed everyone that he definitely deserves a spot in the league, whether or not you think he had a bad series. It happens. I thought he played very well. I think he's better than a decent amount of starters in the league right now. And to just kind of run down the list, because we were talking about this before the show, of like basically every team who isn't in the top 4, right? Top 4 CDL standings should honestly be trying to make a change, especially all the teams that are like actually in the hunt. Because
anyone in like contention of making champs should be on the phone right now.
Which is like, I think it's the 5th, right? 5th spot.
I think it's everybody except New York and Parrish right now. Honestly, I think New York is like pretty much out.
Yeah, they're chalked.
So, but that's still, I mean, that's 10 teams, right? And there's probably 5 of them that like obviously Optic's not going to make a change. Obviously, Toronto's not going to make a change. Obviously, Seattle's not going to make a change now. And FaZe for sure not making a change. So that's like the only 4 guaranteed I think that shouldn't make a change given their roster. But yeah, everyone else outside of that, like I guess Rocker's tough because they just made changes. I still think that team could improve personally. But yeah, everyone else should be on the phone trying to deal something, even if it's a challenger player. You got to make a move because right now you have no chance.
If all the teams besides the top 4 that you just listed actually want to try and win the event, not just go and like be competitive, maybe get a top 4 or whatnot. They all should be trying to make a change. Like,
you go ahead.
I
was going to say, we talked about 2 people on that can't make champs, right? NYSL and Paris. I mean, there's 2 players on both those rosters or on each, 1 player on each that I think really could help out some teams. And now that they're kind of almost basically out of contention, Chris, I think you were talking about it, like a loan system, or potentially like, hey, maybe I want to go and build around Hydra, right? I'm a franchise, wherever I'm at, I'm saying, okay, well, I want Hydra for my team next year and on. Why not just go and get him now, right? I think NYSL would be more likely to deal him now that they're pretty much screwed out the season if they can get money for him.
You're not wrong. I mean, I don't know.
Dude,
We
Temp's
don't
also
know.
a good player that could help.
Yeah, we don't know how these orgs operate behind the scenes, like when it comes to that, like if they would be down or what they're thinking. Barring Optic, because we all know Hex. Like Hex has done this before, where if there's a player that gets an opportunity, he lets them go. But yeah, every team, LAT, LAG, Boston, Florida, Minnesota.
Let's start looking.
London. They should all be calling for Hydra, maybe Temp, or challenger player like Scrappy.
Let's actually talk about this. Let's talk about every teams that we've named inherent issue that we think they need to, like, if they had to get rid of somebody, who are they getting rid of?
Florida, Dave Patty. Sorry, I had to get it out.
Dave Patty, instant improvements. Prolute, Temp, 100%. One of them. We'll keep what Dave Patty brings to the team and improve your team. From LAG,
Gunless and Asum, both of them, bro. I think they do Gunless. Listen,
he hasn't been good since he's back.
He has not been good since he's back, and even beforehand, he was probably their most consistent player, but it wasn't like a superstar level of consistency, right? Asum was their best player in the beginning of the game. I was talking about this on the flank. I had mentioned, like, if it was possible, right, a team that I would really want to see formed would be LAG backing up the Brinks truck, realizing that they got no chance if they don't do this, and get Hydra and Scrappy and keep Slasher and Hook. I think personally, knowing Slasher, he will play a lot better on a team that he's confident in and just has a better team in general. And then also Hook. If Hook can replicate how he played at Major 2, he's a problem. I don't know if we're going to get that again, but I think Scrappy and Hydra would really help that.
Slasher needs the Lamar system, bro. He needs 3 young guns, period.
Scrappy, Hydra, R2. Like,
yeah, but see, no, Slasher and Accuracy are two different people when it comes to that, because Accuracy almost embraces it. We all know Slasher.
But think about what we've heard, Ian.
Well, I know. You guys are right.
The two people I named.
Yeah.
Scrappy's a little shit talker. Like, he kind of has the same personality Slasher was, where it's like win or it means nothing. And Hydra, we've heard the rumors from the NYSL camp where, like, Hydra was getting so pissed about the team sucking and not playing right that he just walked out of practice. Like, I low key think when you combine like toxic people like that, and we're assuming Slasher is one, bro, when all three of them have the same mentality, it's not like the problem where you have one toxic guy bitching to someone who's not.
Look at me, Pat, and Slasher with you. You remember that shit? Me,
well, yeah,
Austin,
that's just because I was the Don Juan, though, and I had to do it all.
Me, Pat, and Austin were coming at each other's necks, and we were still a successful team.
No, but what I'm saying
dude, is, me and Crim hated each other.
You're right with the personalities, but I'm just saying, at least from my time teaming with Slasher, he doesn't really respect the newcomers, especially the people that are kind of.
You don't think he respects Hydra? He's been getting gunned by him all damn year.
I was about to say he needs to start because they're fucking frying this man all year.
And look, things could have changed. I've been out the league now for a little bit, but I'm just saying is like he would rather, and I mean it's been proven. We've seen it in the past. Play with someone like Hook, who he's played with in his career, who is been, I mean, is a multi-FPS champ. You know, he has the respect from everybody. He would rather do that than go into the challenger scene and pick up a Scrappy, is what I'm saying.
That's why I said it was an LAG decision, because I think they're chalked otherwise. There's 0% chance that team in the Major 4 champs and does anything.
I think Asum is way more important to that team.
Dude, but Asum's been getting fucking fried. I agree with you, but dude, when we look at like the last 3 months of what we got out of Asum, I cannot in good faith argue on his behalf. Like, I know he's talented. I thought he was the X Factor best player on their team, most efficient for sure in the beginning of this game. But bro, in the last 3 months, it's just 0.7.
But would you build this roster hypothetically around Slasher? He would be the one for sure staying.
No, I would get Hydra and Scrappy, and I would build around Hydra would be my superstar, basically.
Well, okay,
Slasher and Hook would be like my if I can't deal him next year, then I'll keep him.
okay, but what I'm saying is the player's currently on the team. Slasher is the only one that is like hands down.
Oh,
Because if that's the case,
no.
no,
I wouldn't
okay.
build around any of them.
I was gonna say I feel like Slasher probably, and I could be wrong. I'm just speculating, but I feel like he likes Asim's game a lot more, and probably values what Asim does than Hugh and Gunless.
You know what's crazy to me?
I would agree with that, but
Nuts.
but if I'm Slasher, I can't just be looking at my teammate throwing up a 0.7 and be like, yeah, let's not try and improve.
Hey, he was looking at me doing that, copping
Bro,
dub.
you all what's
baby, doing it
crazy to
all.
me-
5, but and you had people that were frying. He's got no one else frying on his team.
Bro, thinking about
He's
thinking
not
of-
even frying.
thinking about challengers and just the league in general, bro, we might actually hit a talent drought soon. Like, there's got to be a talent drought coming soon because I'm thinking
talent drought.
because like I'm thinking about SMG players and like
Dude, I think we are in one now.
there's got to be there's
Bro,
no good
problem,
there's
Chris?
like no like crazy good SMG players coming out nowadays. Like
I think the biggest problem is two things. One, no team has two, right? Like I think that's why we
besides
talk
the
about
best teams.
right, exactly. Like I think that's why we talk about Atlanta FaZe being dominant. Shotzzy's on Optic. That's why we talk about Optic in the picture. Toronto has fucking Kleenex. Like he is a legit problem on the map. Same now with Pred, right? Like we've been talking about Pred and Mack. I'm not gonna discredit Mack. Like there's no one else when you look across the league who has SMG with superstar potential. I know Ian, you were kind of like low on Envoy for decent reasons because he's not like a high flying superstar SMG. Kenny's not running a sub. He's not that player anymore. When Kenny did well this weekend, he had an AR basically the whole
Are
time.
you on with his
There's
though,
no
man?
other teams. London,
want what-
maybe Afro, but like even then, he's not a superstar.
Bro, you want what it is though? It's these games, bro. Like I'm telling you, like this is not gonna happen. But if we go back to these games, like even the Cold War, or like even if we turn the time back to like the older games, like but when people had time to think, like you saw a lot better players. Like nowadays, bro,
Oh, for
like
sure.
a lot of the time, like bro, players that like actually are like more methodical and smart, like they're just not as good anymore. It's
They get
because
hoed, bro.
they get like people just bro, like I was praising Pred this weekend, but I was also saying I'm not saying like he's bad or anything or he will be bad, but this man's go button is crazy. Like he'll see a red dot and instantly just pounce on it. Like that's like and that benefits you in this game. I'm not saying he couldn't adapt to another game, but I'm saying like bro, these newer gen CODs, like I think they're just creating like a talent drought, bro. Like cuz you got to think about it, right?
The playstyle is so unique.
The play style is so unique, and on top of that, like we talk about the games being terrible all the time. Like, bro, people don't even want to play the game. Like, there was like a wave of challenger players that went to go play Halo that were young kids. Like, who knows how they would have developed?
Yeah.
But did you
know,
guys
over
see
the
the
years,
stuff
but-
about FaZe with Katie Bedford and what she said on stream? It's kind of like the same thing. She was calling
the
out
same
how
thing.
Abeezy, and Chris, you've mentioned this obviously before, but like kind of calling out like what she's heard in the FaZe camp about Abeezy not wanting to play, not liking the game, not getting on. We don't know obviously how true that is, but it's like it kind of like fits the same narrative of like
It's true.
players are getting to the point where they just
No.
don't like the game enough that they're not grinding the same way they have in the past, right? Like I think that's a way bigger issue than just FaZe. I think that's widespread in the league. There's a lot of players who feel that way outside of, but probably the up and coming challenger talent, right? Like those are probably the only people who are grinding day in and day out and enjoy it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You saw what Clay said, right? Like he was in challengers and he started having more fun playing because there's more COD to be played, and I mean you guys know this, like when you're in a more like environment where you're actually grinding and you have to grind,
And
it's a
playing
lot more
meaningful-
enjoyment. Yeah,
You're
meaningful
playing
matches.
meaningful things. Like,
But like,
I don't
dude,
care
these
about
guys
who
are
you
literally
are.
playing
league
show matches
matches.
once a day.
Mhm.
Like every other weekend, they're playing a show match once a day. It's not fun, bro. Dude. This even started happening to me back in like 2018, 2019, when like the COD the league format went to more league based matches. Like playing for
You
a
cannot get
spot on a
hyped for one
leaderboard,
match a
bro.
day.
No, I'm rolling out of bed like, okay, guys, we got fucking Atlanta today. Let's get some points. Like there's not a lot going into it for a player to get excited about. Like I think that's why everyone, when we talk about these tournaments, they're so important. just because, dude, like this playing for a spot on a leaderboard is boring. It's boring as a player, and I think it's boring as a viewer. But that's a little off topic. I did want to talk about the event this weekend, though. Did you guys see the Toronto crowd? They were loud, bro. I mean,
Toronto was there and Optic was there. Yeah,
it was great.
they were
Besides
amazing.
the finals.
Well,
Yeah,
the
the
first
finals
two
were
maps,
so
dude,
dead.
The walkouts, I
like
had
the
to turn the
first two
stream
maps,
off.
the first two maps weren't bad.
No,
It
I'm
was
talking
after
about.
that,
I'm talking about the
everybody
intro.
fell asleep.
Like when the teams
The
walked out.
intro, bro. When the teams walked out,
Bro.
I was like,
Oh, the Seattle and FaZe.
bro, ain't nobody
Yeah.
getting hype. Like, bro, what? Like, Insight was out there screaming, and like, then after that, everyone was just like, hey guys,
You gotta
Yeah.
think
just
most of the
walking
people in the
through.
crowd wanted to see Toronto or Optic.
Obviously, but
Yeah, but like, you got to think that like at least Seattle's gonna get some cheers going up against FaZe, like the fucking people that everyone wanted to lose. Like,
I don't know.
it was
The crowd
a
was
dead ass
solid. The
crowd.
crowd was solid. I
For the
thought
majority of
Toronto.
the weekend,
Yeah, I thought. I mean, I actually enjoyed watching. I thought they ran the whole event smoothly. The actual CDL and then the challengers. But yeah, dude, that's one thing that I wish COD did better. Which I will say it was probably better than like a a tournament in Texas, but like the London, the overseas crowds, they have teams they're passionate about, but they genuinely just enjoy competitive COD. Whereas for everywhere else, it's basically, oh, if Optics out or my team's out, I don't care. Which
Yeah.
I get it. I get it to a certain extent.
That's a
but, like,
widespread issue too, Ian. That's just not only at live events. That's a widespread issue in
that's
our
because the
scene, which
games
is
are
really hurting our
terrible.
scene.
Bro, I can get, bro. There has to be, bro. I feel like 90% of the fans don't actually play the game, or like grind it hard.
Well, outside of that, I think a big problem with our scene when we compare to other esports is 90% of our fans are fans of the players and the teams and not the game. Where it's like in other esports, everybody, no matter what team you like, is a fan of the game. And then they spread out their favoritism to whatever team they prefer. But they have that underlying thing where it's like they love the game, they love the esport, they love the competitiveness of it. We don't have that, and I think that has been declining over time, especially with certain games and just kind of just how it goes, where it's like everyone is a fan of the team or the player, and when that certain person is out or what team is out, the engagement just dries up.
Personalities,
Yeah.
personalities carry the living fuck out of Call of Duty as an esport, and it's not even close.
Well, look, we could, yeah. I mean, you guys are both right. It's just something I wish was a little bit better in our scene, but those are fair points. Pat, I want to get your thoughts on how your 2022 world champions performed, because obviously they went through a long, rough patch. Their major home field advantage. I thought they looked great, but I really just want you to break it down because you've been high on them for what 6 months. I feel
Since the beginning, bro.
I feel like it's literally been since the start of the season.
Yeah. So I think they look phenomenal. I said this before we started the show. Toronto impressed me more this weekend than Seattle did. And the reason I'll say that is because when you look at who Seattle played, obviously we went to NYSL, Florida, and FaZe. They were good teams and good wins. But when you look at what Toronto did, they kind of had a similar thing that LAG did, but it's on the back of something we already knew about Toronto, which is they were a really fucking good S&D team. And we finally got to see it in combination with them being back and frying in respawns. Like, they won almost every S&D in the losers bracket, like from round one, just team after team after team, and playing
that
some
game
gruelers.
5 versus FaZe was what they went on a 9-10 streak.
I think they were at 9 counting the qualifier, and they were at like 5 at the actual event. So it's kind of tough to count the qualifier, but it is something to say where it's like Toronto's a dominant S&D team, and they're also winning respawns. And the biggest thing for me, dude, is like there's not one player on their team who stepped up. It's all 4 of them, and all 4 of them stepped up in a big way in every single mode that we have. So yeah, to me, I'm super impressed by them. I'm really glad they got their footing back and honestly got their teamwork back. I think the biggest thing that if we kind of summarize this entire major with the online qualifiers for Toronto, it's what Cammy said in the interview. And he was like, we realized that we can't play it like it's Cold War anymore. Like, we have to be hype, we have to be loud, and we got to be a lot more mixy. And I'm like, thank God, because when you look at their roster, bro, it's like yeah, that benefits all of you, like except maybe Insight, but it
Almost trying to
benefits
play
all
too
of them.
structured in
Yeah,
Vanguard.
yeah, exactly. And I think that's what helped them early on, right? Because it kind of let them get ahead, let them get, ahead of the game with other teams. I think that's why they found a lot of early success. But yeah, now it's like they're back in full form. They're frying. I called they were going to lose to FaZe in that win around one match, but I also called they were my dark horse, Ian. I know you technically won the dark horse battle
Yes,
with Seattle
sir.
winning,
Round them out, baby.
I
but
lost that shit. I had New York going.
oh yeah,
Ooh.
you were cooked. But I had Toronto making a run all the way to losers, and I really, really wish FaZe would have won that series against Seattle in winter finals because I really think Ultra would have beat Seattle. I think they're better in S&D. They would have won both of them, and I think knowing Ultra and how the crowd would have been, I think they easily could have stole one respawn off Seattle. So a missed opportunity for me. I really thought it was going to be a FaZe Ultra Grand Final, but super happy with how Ultra played, and yeah, I mean, hey, my prediction for them winning champs is looking good. I mean, I think they're almost there. If they can continue to improve, right, stay on that kind of momentum train that they have right now, super bright future for them. I don't know if you guys thought they fell short anywhere. I mean, they only lost a FaZe, so it's like,
Yeah. I'm not I'm not in disagreement with you. They looked really good. Yeah, they only lost to FaZe. And I
close
honestly
games
think,
too.
yeah, close games. I think. Wait, did they both go Mat 5?
No, winners one was
3-1.
3-1, but it was like they threw, like Toronto looked like they choked
Toronto could have
some
won the
maps.
control
Yeah,
and
and then
forced that
Yeah,
game
yeah,
five,
yeah,
but
yeah, yeah, yeah.
they threw that and then they lost our
and
point.
then and then game 5 they lost the game
Yeah.
No,
or
Toronto looked good. I
loser
mean,
finals. They lost game 5.
I love watching them play just because we've talked about this so much, where they're so well rounded as a team. Like, don't get me wrong, they have superstar players, but I feel like when you look at them and you compare them to other teams, like the team that just won, Seattle. Obviously, their whole team is good, but like it was the Pred and Sib show, and a little bit of Mack as well. And obviously, I know accuracy does things, but it's the same thing. Like you look at FaZe, Celium's the one going off, or Optic, it's Dashy and Shotzzy most of the time. I feel like with Toronto, they just like quietly do what they need to do, and so
I've seen them all do it. I've seen Kleenex go off.
exactly.
Ban,
They're just so
bro,
good as a
we're even
team.
seeing Bance go off. I'm not saying Bance was ever bad, but he was frying. Like
He was
he was.
icy in search too.
Yeah,
But look,
Cammy, all of them playing really well, dude.
talking about champs, do you guys think this could be the end of an era that we all, I guess, yeah, we all competed in? Because this is most likely going to be the first time that Clay and Crim don't make it the COD champs. Well, Clay for sure, unless maybe he gets picked up. But NYSL, they would have to go like flawless in the qualifiers, win
Basically
the event.
impossible.
Yeah, like is it actually like 0% chance now?
It's not 0, but it's like
Everything
it
have to
could
go
be
their way.
0 in qualifier 4. If they start out slow, it's 0. Yeah.
So do you think, not only do you think, or if you think, I should say, Crim and Clay both retire after this year, I want to add one on top of that because even though this player is having a lot better of a season, has a lot better of a team, if Optic don't turn it around, do you think Scump also joins them on just like being done with competing?
I don't know about Scump because I feel like Scump has been playing really good.
No,
Like
yeah,
this
not
entire
not
year.
not like he can't do it anymore. Just
Does he
like
want to do it?
yeah, like because they won the first event.
I mean, I think we've been at that era. Listen, I beat people to the punch. You might not think I'm one of the greats or anything like that, but like these bro, Crim and Clay, they're like my brothers. Like they're my rivals. Like we were literally going against
Wait,
each
did
other
you
for
just say you
ages.
beat them to the punch to like retire? Like, yo, I
Yeah.
gotta report him.
Like, bro, like same thing with Pat, bro. Like we were all in that same like era, right? Where
I mean, it's a lot of players. Cap,
yeah, a lot
Formal,
of us, yeah.
Damon. There's a ton of like
But
greats who are done.
I think especially now, I think COD has dwindled to a point where we're all in agreement here. This is the worst Call of Duty ever made.
Right above
Yeah.
Modern Warfare.
Right, but yeah, I think
is the problem, Ian. To answer your question, I think it's
100%.
really going to come down to the game next year.
I don't think it has to do with like people not wanting to compete. It's that people don't want to compete in this environment anymore.
Yeah.
I think whenever we went from MW, right? We were like, okay, this is the end of it. We got Cold War, and Cold War was good. I think a lot of people will tell you that Cold War was a fun game to play. Didn't have minimal bullshit. There were still problems like this,
It was
but this is a
refreshing.
problem.
That's
It was
the word to
refreshing.
use.
Yeah, we had shit maps in that game. We had to replace them with Black Ops 2 maps. But like besides that, I think the gameplay was fun. The guns were fun to shoot. The spawns made sense. We had trophy systems and all like the necessities to compete. And then we regressed so far back. To me, this is like going from Black Ops 3 to IW. Black Ops 3 was a better version of IW. IW was a watered down version. Now we're going from MW to a watered down version of MW, which MW was already regarded as a bad game. And some people will regard jetpacks as a bad like era of the game. So you're going from a worse version. You're going from a bad version to a worse version of that in terms of the way people might like perceive it and stuff like that. And I think everyone is in kind of agreement where there's no way it gets fucking worse, right?
Nah.
But
Nah, we could have a watered down version of next year.
Vanguard, imagine that, bro. And the worst part is, this is why another reason why this might drive even more of us away, is we're playing this game for 2 years.
Oh yeah, I completely forgot about that. You're right. Yeah, it is
So
a
if
2-year
you have
cycle.
that,
I think, Ian, to answer your question, I think Clay's done. I think Clay retires
unless he gets a spot, which might not happen. But if he gets a spot, I don't think so.
I don't know if you guys disagree, but I don't see the league expanding. And if it doesn't, I don't see him getting on a team that he would be happy with at all. And I know Clay has the front going where it's like, I want to get back. Like I'll play for whatever amount of money. I just want to be on a team. I don't care. I don't think that's reality. I don't think he's getting off camera and thinking that way. I think, if he's not on a contender and he's not on a team that he can actually do something with, Clay's done. There's no way he's going to sit a year on Paris Legion or the London Royal Ravens or Florida. Like, I just don't see him wanting to be mediocre, especially in the tail end of his career and like how high up we hold him. So I think no matter what, Clay's done. Unless barring he gets a massive opportunity on a dominant team, I think he's done. Seth, I think if Optic ends this year mediocre, right? If they don't win Major 4, if they don't win champs, and it's not like a potential that they could have won, I think Seth's going to evaluate, and I think he's going to look at the game next year. And if the game isn't good and it's not something that he enjoys competing on or playing, I could easily see Seth just taking like the route of like, I had a blast, but I just don't enjoy it anymore, and I'm done. I think he's kind of in the middle ground for me. So my answers are kind of split. I don't see Crim quitting no matter what. Crim's a psychopath. We all know this. He's going to play till his dying breath.
He's going to play until he has exhausted all his options at competing.
Yeah, he's going to play no matter what. Seth, I think, is in the middle there where he's like, he could go either way depending on circumstances. And I think Clay's done.
Crim is literally like me. If he can't, if he has no avenue of competing where he's not making any money, he's quitting.
Yeah. And the
which is
problem
where
with
I
Crim
was.
I think Crim has done this so long, like, it's more than just competing for him. At this point, it's a lifestyle. Like, I genuinely feel like if Crim wasn't playing Call of Duty every day, he would kind of be lost, right? He would have to go back and be like, what the fuck do I want to do? Because I've just been doing this for even outside of COD. Like,
bro, I can relate to him. I can relate to him. I was literally in that same exact position. I literally retired and I went through depression where I would wake up and not know what to do until I got opportunities with the flank and even now with the reverse sweep.
I'm on the opposite side. Oh, sorry, Chris, my bad.
No, you're good. I basically don't even know what to do now. Like, outside of my weekends where I'm doing the show or the flank, like, bro, I've really started playing Lost Ark. It's an MMO, and the only reason why it keeps my attention is because you have to put a lot of hours into it to progress. So it keeps my attention. But if I didn't have video games, I wouldn't know what to do.
But I think you're a little different. You're more like Damon to me, where you're at heart, you're a gamer. And I've always viewed you that way. But I don't really view Crim that way. Like, I don't see Crim gaming leisurely as much as...
No, he races his cars. He goes to the shooting range.
Crim is hardcore. He views this more... I don't want to say a job. A job's kind of a weird thing to tie to it. But he views this more as like, he's clocking in and he's going hard for X amount of time. Like, he's not hopping off and just playing whatever game for fun. like
Yeah, I
Chris,
guess.
you're like that. Damon is a lot like that. I think Formal's like that. Like there's other players that are like that. I think I view Clay kind of similar, right? Like I don't see Clay gaming that much leisurely, like off stream just for fun. Um, but uh, Seth, I think, has a good opportunity too with COD going to this cycle. And it being a big fan favorite, right? Modern Warfare 2. We know the casuals are gonna love this game regardless of how it is.
Warzone 2
with
as well.
Warzone 2 is
Warzone
coming
2,
out.
we know Warzone 2 will be big. I think there will, like I said, there will be a moment for Seth where it's like evaluating everything. And I know, thinking back, he's not upset, but he knows that he missed out on Fortnite, right? And if when we talk about if Seth would have put it all into Fortnite, he probably would be
Oh,
massive right
yeah.
now. So I think it's the same combo, right? Where he's stepping back, it's like I don't enjoy competing, and there's this massive opportunity for me to go and just blow up. So what's your take on it though, Ian?
I mean, you guys were honestly spot on. I think like the biggest thing is a lot of people don't realize that Crim, Clay, Scump, I mean, even you two, even me, like we did this for over a decade. Like
Over a decade, yeah.
like over a decade, right? And
Nonstop too. That's what people don't realize.
nonstop.
Nonstop.
Obviously, when we all first started, it was out of pure passion, pure enjoyment, right? You weren't really making all this money. And then now, as the games get worse, and yeah, we're in a way different spot where these guys are getting a lot of money. It turns into more of a job, right? Where you don't just enjoy getting on and grinding Call of Duty and competing. It doesn't matter how much of a competitor you are. When you put in that much time into something, you're gonna be burnt out at a certain point. And it's like you said about Clay, Pat, where I don't see him going through the pit. Like, yeah, I know he did it at this event. Yeah, it's only been a couple of weeks. Like, if he's doing that for half a year, then I might be persuaded. But it's just one of those things where you're older now. Clay, like they're 30, Scump's what, 26, 27?
27, yeah, because
like,
I'm turning 28. He's a year younger.
You get different passions. You want to do something else because if you are competing professionally in Call of Duty or any esport, that's all your time. You're basically stagnant in everything else in life, unless you're Doug Sensor Martin.
No, you are. You're right.
You know what I'm saying?
It dominates your life.
And
100%.
And like Crim has other passions, Scump has other passions. I think if this next COD isn't even like just a little bit better than Vanguard, I wouldn't be surprised to see them all retire. Scump would be the least likely unless Optic kind of bomb out, because he's been on like a way better team and he's been personally better. But it'll be interesting because those are like the three biggest names in COD right now. So if that happens, like if they all say, you know what, had a great run, loved it, I'm ready to move on, do something else with my life, like open up the next chapter. I don't know what the COD League looks like next year.
Oh, I'm coming back because there's 3 open spots. No, but I'm kidding.
But like you know what I'm saying? Like if they all retire, what like bro, those are the biggest three.
Happened, COD would be done.
That's what I'm saying. Who do you root for? Like
from a viewership perspective, I think Optic and Shotzzy could carry a little weight, but I think COD would be on the border of like we are fucked.
Like it would be Shotzzy,
no one, and there's just at that point there's no more lingering like I don't want to say old heads, but there's no lingering legends, right? Like they just don't exist anymore. The scene would be to a point where it's like the interest it would become so minuscule, and it's like they would be building on the back of like Shotzzy taking Scump's viewership. But it's like if there was a COD tournament going on and Seth's playing Warzone 2, playing Crim aren't involved, bro, no one's watching. Like it's just how it is. Like we might get 15, 20 viewers. The only
way it gets viewers is if Scump is doing a watch party.
Yeah, and even then, and we've talked about this, like if we don't know what's going to happen with the CDL next year, if they re-sign with YouTube exclusively, Seth ain't doing no fucking watch party. Like think about it. The creators that they got to do it was Noah J, I think, and Tim the Tapman, who are YouTube creators. Seth is, barring him signing with YouTube, is going to go on Twitch if he retires, and he is going to blow up. He's going to be massive. He's going to be grinding Warzone all day. And so, and outside of that, I mean, shit, they'd have to pay him.
The longer this esports stays on YouTube as well is the worse it's going to get. By the way.
Oh, like,
I have no doubt in my mind.
We've always thought that because there's no growth.
I hate being pessimistic about it because obviously, as just I mean, a spectator at this point, I want Clay, Crim, Scump to compete for as long, like, the next 5 years, because obviously competing versus them, they're some of the greatest Call of Duty players of all time, the biggest personalities in the scene right now. It's like it would feel weird almost because it would be a completely different era. But on top of that, it's like I know this isn't the right way to think about it, but I like some like the newer players, right? The newer era, newer generation of players. But it's like it could be super scary for the outlook of Call of Duty. Like we've talked about this a lot, especially if it stays on YouTube, which we don't know if they are or not. But like it could be almost on its way out, in my opinion.
Yeah,
I don't know if that's a fair take, but that's just how I look at it.
Like, think about it like for yourself, right? Because I'm sitting here asking myself this question: if those three retired, I'm not gonna lie, my interest would dwindle, right? Like my interest has already dwindled over the years, right? And compare with like where it was.
Mhm.
But like if those three guys leave, like there's not much left to the story for me that would really garner my interest, right?
Book is
Like
closed.
it would just
The book is
it would just
closed.
be it would be a habit. It would just be
Bro, I'm
Call
gonna
of Duty
keep it.
tournaments on. I know Call of Duty. I've done it for so long. That would be the only reason I watch.
Bro, there's even players. There's even players right now that don't watch at
Like
all.
that compete?
That used to compete. Like
Oh, I
Apathy,
bet.
for example. Apathy's told me that he watched like maybe a series or two or something like that, or maybe sometimes they'll tune in when
He
LAG
probably
is
watched the
playing.
LAG, yeah. But
I mean,
dude, I really believe this. Outside of the players that moved into coaching roles with teams or whatever roles
or
within
people
a team,
like us that do like shows and stuff like that.
they're
Yeah.
not involved. Like they're not. Yeah, and the problem with one of the biggest problems with Call of Duty is there's no pathway for players after retiring, right?
Yeah.
Like there's none. It's either content and mostly just self-contained sustained content on your own, right? On your own, or doing these shows where we have opportunities like, and obviously Tommy provides a lot with. I mean, dude, Tommy's carrying the competitive Call of Duty community on his back right now, in my opinion. Like, as far as an individual, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, it's not even close.
To touch on if Scum retires, Tommy's the biggest like personality in COD.
Call of Duty esports.
Yeah, and he's not even a player, which is obviously an issue.
I see Seth like not stepping away, but really getting away from the esport and actually going into the world of like influencer streamer entertainment.
Because he could easily
he'd be like a Shroud.
He could easily be as Ninja, Tim the Tap Man.
Yeah, Ninja, all them guys.
Nick Merckx,
well, maybe not Tim the Tap Man because he never competed. But like Nick,
I do want to say though,
I'm saying in terms of like their reach.
Oh yeah, he'd be huge.
If we got if those guys did retire, that would open up some spots on the reverse sweep. So Doug might get dropped. But guys, Doug isn't dropped. I wanted to say that really quick. He was at Toronto, obviously. He beat Clay this event. Shout out Doug. I don't know if you guys saw that.
To that. My man Jim. Come on.
Yo, Doug made a run. Doug ended up getting
Doug got 56 with no practice apparently, by the way.
Yeah, no, because his team was formed last minute due to roster changes. And I love that he got to beat Clay because that was his old team. So shout out to our guy Doug. He obviously couldn't make it for this one. He was in Toronto. Some things came up. It was just a scheduling conflict, but he'll be back next when we start Major 4 qualifiers. Just want to give a little shout out to Doug. He's not here for any specific reason. He just couldn't make it. But yeah, guys, I mean, for me, that's pretty much all I got. I don't know if any of you have anything else.
Go ahead, Pat. Hit him with it. Hit him with the CTA.
Look, we had a really good episode. We went into a lot of detail, a lot of topics and details this one. But yeah, guys, look, hey, we are again trying to hit that goal of 144 subscribers. We want to make a big dent in it with this episode. We're at 137 and change. So if you're watching, if you're seeing every week, every Monday, make sure to subscribe. There's no point to watch if you're not subscribed. Just a quick click that red button right there. Turn notifications on if you're crazy. But other than that, leave some comments. We'll get some questions next episode. That's all for me. Hopefully Ian will take his hat off or get a haircut next episode. He's going my route. But yeah, it was a great episode, guys, and we will see you next week. Peace. Actually, 2 weeks from now. Peace.